my name is HAPruitt, and I am the author of Untitled. And in this video, I'm going to do a book review, not of Untitled. I'm going to do a book review of a wonderful story. But first, I want to tell you that book reviews are so very important. They tell readers what books are about. They tell readers if they want to read books. Often people who are looking to buy books look at the reviews instead of looking at the author's description. And so it matters so very much that if you read a book, to review a book. And so today I am going to talk about Penelope Grace and the Winter Carousel by Alexandria Miracola. So Penelope Grace and the Winter Carousel is a fantasy. It's kind of realistic fantasy, kind of portal fantasy. It is about Penelope Grace, and Penelope Grace loves winter and all the light and all the hope and all the wonder, the hope of new life, the promise of new life that winter brings. She loves all of that about winter. She loves snow. But this winter grows cold for Penelope Grace. Her family loses the joy and the wonder and the light after a devastating blow. They seem beyond help, but a wolf finds Penelope Grace and urges her to follow. When Penelope does follow the wolf, she finds herself in a wondrous world where the battle for wonder and light will be fought. And so, before I talk more about the story, that's kind of the summary, what I just said, but before I talk more about why I love the story of Penelope Grace and the Winter Carousel, I want to talk about how much I love how the story is written. It's told from an omniscient narrative point, and some people don't like that. They say you shouldn't head hop, and it could be called head hopping if you really want to say that, but I really loved how it felt like you were sitting in front of a fire in the middle of winter, curled up in a blanket, and this narrator, it was your favorite relative, and they were telling it to you in a soft, wonderful, inviting voice, just inviting you to keep listening, and how at times the narrator would ask you questions like, are you ready for the battle for wonder, and different things like that. I really loved how it felt just like you were being told the story and you were being invited to listen, and it just felt warm and cozy and inviting. The story was all about winter, but it also felt warm and inviting, just the tone of how Alexandria writes. I just loved it so much. And it's just beautifully written. It's engaging, it's innocent, it's deep, it's realistic, and it's significant. The whole story those words describe it very well. And I mean, you start reading and the story is just it's beautifully written and it's beautiful. And then as you keep reading, it gets meaningful. You start reading because it's beautiful, and you keep reading because it's meaningful and it matters. So I really love how the story of Penelope Grace is written. And so the actual story itself is equally warm and inviting and compelling. I love how the beginning, it kind of draws you into Penelope's family and introduces you to them, and you fall in love with her family very quickly. And then it gets real and it gets difficult, this story. Very difficult and very real. And you connect with them even deeper. It's like when you go through a hard time with a friend in real life, it's kind of like that. You fall in love with this family and then you go through something difficult with them and you just feel for them even more and connect with them even more. And you hurt with them and you want good for them. You start really rooting for them and wanting good for them, even though it's breaking your heart, because not all of them seem to want good for them. And then the fantasy element comes in and it increases all of that, how you want so much for them and how you're rooting for them. And it also increases the suspense and the awe and the urgency of the story. And the story, got my notebook. The story draws you into this amazing winterland with talking animals and apricity and a daunting enemy. It brings you into the enemy, and it makes the problem that happens in the real world into an actual figure, an enemy body. And it really reminds me of The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe in all the right ways. You go into this winter world where it should be cold, but there's these friends you meet along the way, and they're helpful and they're just wonderful friends. and the battle for wonder begins. It really begins. And I love the characters. I loved all the characters. The main character, Penelope Grace, was very likable. From the very beginning, you start learning about her and everything she does and everything her family says about her. It just builds up her character, someone you can really fall in love with, and someone you can really relate to, who's just like a person you would want to be around. She has good qualities, but also room for growth, like any really good character should. She has room to grow. I won't say more about that because I don't want to give away the story. But this main supporting characters too are very likable and very wonderful. A lot of them are those talking animals. I loved Tilly. I really liked Tilly. She's fun and strong-willed, and she talks with a nice little accent, in my head anyway. And all the characters, all the supporting characters have distinct personalities, and they're just perfect for the story. And the villain also perfectly represents what he was meant to represent, just in the way he talks, in what he looks like, and how Alexandria described him. It just perfectly represents what he is supposed to be representing. But I won't say more because I don't want to give the story away. And the plot, it contained a problem that every person could relate to. And so the story of Penelope Grace is very relatable. The devastating blow is something that could and does happen in every life. And so anybody could relate to this story. And it takes this problem that happens of lost wonder, and it reshapes it into this mission and battle so that you can truly learn how to regain wonder and joy and light. It kind of takes you out of reality so you can deal with reality and learn about reality, so that when you finish the story, you can really deal with that real loss of wonder in your life, and you learn how to get it back. And I very much appreciated that defeating this darkness that stole the light and wonder was not an easy or a step-by-step process. It looked easy at first, but it wasn't. I like that it took learning and it took growth, and that Penelope Grace really had to develop. I don't want to say too much. She really had to develop in several ways and learn quite a few lessons before the resolution could come about. And I also really appreciated that in the end, the hero is not who Penelope Grace thinks the hero would be when she starts her journey through Allura. Allura is the land that she goes to, the fantasy land that she goes to. And I love that this fantasy allegory, it's a fantasy allegory like the Chronicles of Narnia. I love what it teaches about God. I can't say a whole lot because that would give away things, but I really, really love what it teaches you about God in this fantasy world. And it's like a fantasy situation, but it's also a very real problem and real situation. It teaches us about our false human ideas. It teaches us about our role and our purpose as people, and also teaches us about hope. One of these sections that I like the most in the book was when Alexandria, she does that narrator thing where she says, "Now reader, close your eyes." And she tells you to kind of take a break, and it's like the narrator's like leaning down and telling you as you sit by the fire and just describing this to you about what hope really is. And man, if I can find it in a second, I'll read it to you. But it really does make you want to just stop and think about what hope really is, and kind of, okay, I found it. I'm going to read it to you because it's that good. Now, reader, I must ask you to close your eyes before we continue. The Ice Maiden is an entirely unique being, and not one to be imagined or passed over too quickly. Very little is known about the Ismajar, save that there is only ever one. They are beautiful, to be sure, yet you will find that that is never what is remembered about them. Their purpose is singular and experienced differently by all who shared the delight of meeting them. But first, a question. Have you ever felt that hope is an ephemeral thing? When circumstances aren't what you expected, have you ever tried to take hold of it, only to have it fall right through your fingers? as if it had no substance, like a reflection in disturbed waters? Yes, I know the feeling too. Still, hope is planted in each of us uniquely, though its source is always the same. The Ismajar has received the gift of reminding us what the substance of our hope is when we've forgotten. Now, what I'm going to ask of you will be difficult if you have ever longed for hope and felt the sting of its loss. I want you to welcome some light into your dark places and let the Ismay remind you of what hope looks like. Are your eyes closed? Good. Deep breath now, friend, and take a step. And then like just the rest of the story and just what happens right after that, it kind of helps you feel what hope is when you've lost hope. And so this story is fantastic if you feel you have lost hope and you don't know how to find it again. This story is fantastic if you feel loss and grief and you don't know how to escape that darkness, but you want to. Even if you don't want to, it helps you so much to escape the darkness. If you feel like you're trying to be enough and trying to do enough to get out of whatever difficult situation you're in, this story will help you so much. This story is so wonderful. It's so good. And I think everybody should read it. So in the next slides, I'm going to tell you about how to find Penelope Grace in the Winter Carousel and how to find Alexandria Miracola. It's not a book, as you can see. I have the published manuscript. You can either subscribe to her blog and read the installments, and you get the pictures too. The pictures aren't in here, but the pictures are on her blog, so you can subscribe to that and get the pictures that she draws. They're fantastic. Or you can contact her and you can get this beautiful manuscript. It's precious. It's like opening a Christmas present. It was beautiful and wonderful, and it still is. So those are the two ways that you can read Penelope Grace in the Winter Carousel, and it is totally wonderful and fantastic, and I give it 5 stars. So here is the particular information how to find her, and you can also find the links below in the description. If you would like to read Penelope Grace and the Winter Carousel, go to Alexandria Miracola's website, 2125books.org. The link is down below in the description. From there, you can either subscribe to her blog and read Penelope Grace and the Winter Carousel online from her blog, and you'll get to see the special illustrations, or you can ask her for a manuscript and order it. The link to do that is below in the description as well, and you can order this beautiful manuscript. And also, if you are interested in winning a copy of a manuscript right now while I'm filming this video, if you join my launch team, you'll be entered in the giveaway to win this one right here. Inside is the manuscript you saw of Penelope Grace and the Winter Carousel. So please do go to Alexandria's blog and look at all the neat, she does reviews and she supports other authors. You can also find out more about Alexandria Miracola on her Instagram and on her Facebook. Her Instagram is at Alexandria Miracola, and also 2125books, and also the same names are hers on Facebook, Alexandria Miracola and 2125books. So please find her, please follow her. She's coming up with a new story. A new story is going to come out before too long, so she's getting ready for that and showing lots of pictures for her new story also. So that is how you can find out about Penelope Grace and the Winter Carousel and Alexandria Miracola. So please, once again, if you read a book like Anathalion, or if you read Penelope Grace and the Winter Carousel, please review these books. Review them on Amazon, review them on Goodreads, review them wherever you would like, and just spread the word about these books. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down there, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please give me a comment and tell me if you have read a good book lately, if you have read one of these books I've talked about, and just talk to me about anything you would like in the comments. So thank you very much for watching. Bye!
If you want to know more about Anathalion or HAPruitt, please follow me on Instagram at HAPruitt. You can find me on Amazon as an Amazon author, HAPruitt. Please watch my YouTube channel and all my cool videos on my channel, HAPruitt Anathalion. You can find me on the Facebook page, HAPruitt Anathalion. You can follow me on Goodreads by the name HAPruitt and the book Anathalion, or you can go to my website where so much cool stuff about Anathalion is. The website is HAPruitt.com.
Okay, no, start again. Okay. Okay, it's gonna fall off. Ah! No twacta noises.